Bills Mafia is finally here. Sunday Night Football at Highmark Stadium. A whiteout in Orchard Park, as you see, where we're wearing our white shirts to rep our Buffalo Bills. Our Buffalo Bills are 4-0, undefeated still, and they're one of the NFL's last perfect teams. And across the field, you have the hated New England Patriots that come into town with a 2-2 record, with a brand new head coach in Mike Vrabel, a second-year quarterback in Drake May, and a face that we all know way too well, Stephon Diggs. Yeah, he's back in Buffalo, but this time he's not wearing our red, white, and blue. He's wearing he's wearing Patriots, navy and silver. And the question is simple. Can Josh Allen and the Bills send him home empty-handed under the lights in front of the loudest crowd in the NFL? Let's break it all down tonight with my buddy, Sean Kula from Red, White, and Bills. Sean, man, I can't wait for this showdown. This is going to be one of the biggest things that you get to talk about all week. And I want to start off this segment, too, with our familiar foe in Stephon Diggs, because this is the biggest storyline from this matchup, if you have to say. And let's start with him. He had 4 unforgettable seasons in Buffalo, 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons, multiple Pro Bowls for the Buffalo Bills, one of the greatest trades in franchise history, and he helped take Josh Allen from potential to superstar. But the relationship soured, the exit was messy, and now the Bills have a future Hall of Famer in Josh Allen, while the Patriots have a wide receiver 1. And let's talk about this, man, and break down Stephon Diggs and what he brings to the table for the New England Patriots and what he brought to our franchise.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, a lot of great seasons for us. You mentioned how, Allen became better with him, but he also became better as well. He was never like a superstar number 1 guy, and then you paired them 2 together and they put the work in from the offseason to the end of the year, and it really showed. It stinks not having him here, but sometimes things run its course. I still love him. I got a signed jersey of him. He's gonna, I'm assuming, gonna want to be getting all the receptions this week, and I'm sure the coaches are like, "Here, we're gonna pepper you with some receptions against your old team." He's gonna be amped up. He always brings energy. Great to have over there, for a young quarterback like Drake May. I wish Josh Allen had a Stephon Diggs in year 2, but he kind of had John Brown and Cole Beasley, but they're not compared to what Stephon Diggs can bring. But yeah, great talent. We moved on now. First time back in Buffalo. I'm sure he'll be emotional, and I might even say he'll come out in pregame and throw the ball with the kids like he did when he was a Bill. Maybe. If not, I'm not for welcoming people back. If they're not on the team anymore, I don't expect to give cheers to the enemy, whether they did something wrong or not. So that same thing with Matt Collins. I love Matt Collins too, but they're on the Patriots now, so I'm not gonna. They didn't win us a ring or anything, so I'm not gonna welcome them back and be like, oh, let's cheer for the away team coming in. I expect fans to boo, and there's nothing wrong with it. If you think they shouldn't, I kind of get it. But at the end of the day, they're the enemy team, and that's how it should be.
You're exactly right. And you kind of segued into what I was going to bring up too, because I wanted to start with Stephon Diggs. Then you have the other counterpart for the New England offense, and you have Matt Collins, who spent 1 season for the Buffalo Bills, was pretty much a really good blocker for the Bills and stepped up big when we really needed him. And he was reliable on 3rd down situations where he caught a bunch of touchdowns for the Bills and really showcased what he could bring to an offense. And he packaged that in off of a 1-year, I think it was $2 million contract with the Buffalo Bills, and brings it over to New England, signs another multi-year extension, goes there, and he, gonna probably make a name for himself in New England. But he fit Buffalo so well, and it's sad to see him go. But like you said, I hope that the fan base gives him a cheer at the beginning of the game. But after that, this is where you can't be a fan of him anymore. You got to be kind of like an enemy of him a little bit. You can wish him well against other teams, but probably not against the Buffalo Bills. So that's where I get into it. And then that Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels, they're going to try and feed Stephon Diggs the ball early. They're going to try and hit him with slants, hit him with quick routes on the day. So the Bills have a tough matchup going up against Diggs, but you have some familiar faces that know Stephon Diggs very well in Tre'Davious White and Christian Benford that are going to be pressing the line of scrimmage against him. Plus, you're probably going to have some safety help over the top to shade him from going deep and trying to make a big play. So, Sean, let's talk about that a little bit. The matchup between Stephon Diggs and Christian Benford / Tre'Davious White. What do you think of that matchup?
Yeah, I think Diggs is going to move around all over the place, so he'll probably see everybody. Our secondary, I know the stats show that they've been pretty good, but the eye test shows a little bit different, especially Benford. He got paid, and he's already given up 3 touchdowns. I know one of them was a slant route, and everybody's saying, oh, the safety should have been there to help him out. But I expect a cornerback one to be able to stop a slant route from an average wide receiver one, because that's Chris Olave. He's not a superstar. But I expect him to be able to stick with people, and he just hasn't been. Trey White's just been awful. So if I was the offensive coordinator, I would put Diggs on Trey White as many times as I possibly could. Diggs has great hands, great route runner, even after the injury. Tough hands, except for when we need him to catch the ball in the playoffs. But, I expect him to be a focal point of the offense. And, I hope our secondary is up to the challenge. Again, the stats say that they've been pretty good. But at the end of the day, it just seems like we're not where we should be in that department.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Let's see if the Bills defense, they can make Stephon Diggs work on Sunday and make him fight for every single catch. And don't let Diggs be the storyline of this matchup between the Buffalo Bills and New England Patriots. I want to get into the chat real quick. I do see you guys coming into the chat. Trek Reviewer, welcome in. John Robert on Facebook coming in saying Bills will win. Also, Trek Reviewer saying don't forget about Matt Collins. John Robert coming in saying Diggs brought Josh Allen more interceptions. And also with Dorian Strong out, Jamarcus Ingram will probably be active. Absolutely. We will get into that a little bit later, John. So you're kind of getting ahead of me, and we're going to segue into our third segment now, where we're going to talk about the coaching chess match for the Buffalo Bills going up against the New England Patriots. And they're playing against somebody that they're very familiar with as a player, but now as a head coach of the New England Patriots. He was with the Tennessee Titans, don't forget, but now with the New England Patriots coming in and being the second head coach after Bill Belichick left. Remember that Gerard Mayo, another former Patriot, was the head coach last year, and now you have Mike Vrabel coming in again and being the head coach there. The Bills have to go up against, one of the toughest and most disciplined head coaches in the NFL. Did you know this stat, though, Sean, that Mike Vrabel in his career against the Buffalo Bills, playing career, was 14-2 in his playing career?
I figured because he was with Brady, and Brady was 33-3 or 35-3.
And then on the other side of the ball, you have Sean McDermott, the Bills, aggressive, fast, explosive coach. And the defense is built around Joey Bosa and Greg Rousseau keeping the pockets, while you have Josh Allen, the MVP, on the other side of the ball. So let's wrinkle in a little bit and get into the coaching staff of the New England Patriots. Josh McDaniel is back calling plays for the Patriots. You also have him going up against our defensive coordinator in Bobby Babich. And then on the other side of the ball, you have Trey Williams going up against Joe Brady. Let's get into those matchups just a little bit, Sean. And let's start with Josh McDaniels and Bobby Babich. Who do you think has the edge there?
Well, I would say McDaniels he's a very good offensive coordinator. He was a failed head coach multiple times, but whenever he has an offense, it seems like he's just in a whole different level of coaching. Babich is still young and learning, so I'd probably give McDaniels the edge there, just because. But we know it's McDermott's defense. McDermott probably has an ear during the game, so it's hard to say. But I just know McDaniels knows what he wants to do and always execute to a good level. Always helps his quarterback out and does a good job with offenses. So Yeah, it'll be interesting, but we've played against him multiple times when he was coaching. Vrabel was a head coach in Tennessee. We played him a lot, so we probably, as coaching staff wise, they should know what to expect. Obviously, it's different personnel, but we know what Matt Collins does. We know what Diggs does, and their coaching staff, we know them pretty well. Well, not me and you, but the coaches know them really well. So it should be. We shouldn't be surprised with what they could bring.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I want to get into John Roberts' comment. He's saying, who is the wide receiver one for the New England Patriots? It's kind of a handful of guys that are in this lineup, but it's pretty much Stephon Diggs is the main focal point of the offense for the New England Patriots. I think he has about 19 catches already on the season. So he's probably going to be the number one wide receiver for the Patriots. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think they got more of a committee as well. Like you're saying, Mac's going to get some attention. Kayshon Boutte gets some good play. Pop Douglas hasn't really done much with them, but he's still on the team. And they have no more Kendrick Bourne. There was one guy I can't think of, but they got some decent guys over there. Nothing spectacular, but they have some decent talent.
Yeah, and they just traded Jalen Pollock to, I forget who he went to, but they just traded him this week, so he's no longer on the team. Then let's get into the offensive coordinator battle between Joe Brady and Trey Williams. Who do you think has the edge in that matchup?
I don't know. I don't know much about the Patriots defensive coordinator, but Joe Brady has Josh Allen, so I would put him as having the advantage there.
I like that answer. And then this is the last one, Sean, because now we have a new punter in the building, and Trek Reviewer brings him up. The punting situation for the Buffalo Bills. Mike, I cannot pronounce his last name, but I'm going to call him Winowski, something like that. The Aussie punter for the Buffalo Bills, now punting for Cameron Johnston, who is on the IR for the Bills. You got Chris Tabor for the Bills on one side. Then you got Jeremy Springer for the New England Patriots. And I like what I've seen from the Bills in their special teams unit, but the Patriots have done some damage in the first few games of the year. Who do you think has the edge there?
Definitely the Patriots. They have exceptional special teams. Always kind of have. And I disagree with you slightly. I haven't been happy with the special teams minus kick, field goals, an extra point. Our punt coverage, our kick return coverage has been awful. Receiving and kicking. So Dennis Frank again in the 20s, maybe near the bottom half of the league or the bottom quarter of the league. So it definitely needs to be much better. We're giving really big returns. We're not blocking well enough on our returns. Same thing with punt. We're not giving anyone enough time to return punts, and then we're giving them too much time to return punts. And sorry, Jake, but Reed Ferguson the last game we played where Johnson got hurt. They had two tackles pinching in on Reed because they know how bad he is at blocking. And they watched the tape from the previous game where Sealer ran him over. So they just put two D tackles there and blew him up. And obviously it's hard to block two people at once, but they know he's a weak link as far as blocking goes, and they're trying to find any way they can to get Pierce through that the punt coverage or the punt blocking. So yeah, our special teams. Tabor's a great coach, but our unit has not really done anything that I'm happy with.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you somewhat with what you're saying. Punting, I think, needs to be a lot better. The coverage, yeah, at times it does struggle and everything, but I like what I've seen out of the kicking game. I think that Matt Prater has done a wonderful job filling in for Tyler Bass. That's where I'm kind of getting at. It's been better.
Prater's
kind of
been good, but other than Prater, like I said, the punting hasn't been, like you mentioned, the punting hasn't been good. We gave the Saints a lot of I think they had four drives starting within the 50. It's just not good enough. And then they mean short field for us, because then the defense does get a stop. Then they punt it inside the 5. And then it's like, then there's not many play calls you can do inside the 5. And then you get holding, and then all these penalties. So,
I put a lot of the blame of that, Sean, on Cameron Johnston a little bit just because he's coming off of an injury. He had an ACL tear last year and not punting all of 2024, coming in and being the starting punter for the Buffalo Bills after week 1. Maybe it's a little bit on him, but I don't think that the hang time for Johnston is that great. And that's one of the reasons why I think that they're getting so much more returns from the punting game. But, special teams, I think it's going to be better with our new punter. He has more of a hang time. He has more of a kicks deeper, in my opinion, than Johnston, even though Johnston had I think a 76-yard kick, which was his longest, which is something that, hopefully we can see this week for our new punter. But let's segue into our 4th segment, Sean. And
real quick, Brett, just because Trek was talking about special teams, I believe the rule is only for field goals and extra point where you can't touch the long snapper, but he becomes a blocker on the punt because he's supposed to actually go down there and try to make a play. So he becomes someone that is going to be getting blocked. So you probably can't jump on top of him when he's trying to snap the ball, but they lined up on the outside shoulder and, both of the shoulders, they land up on the outside, which I think that's the only time that you're allowed to even touch them. But yeah, the field goals and extra points, you can't line up directly above and you can't jump on top of them because they snap the ball and they keep their head down. So it's just a safety precaution, but on punt, that's different. And Wisnowski, I think. So it's funny. He's got a Polish name, but he's from Australia, so he's probably a Polish guy from born in Australia. But anytime there's a ski, I always think of my Polish roots.
No, that's pretty
Even
funny.
My name doesn't have a ski in it. They think some of my family thinks it was shortened when my relatives came from my other half of the family came from Poland. I think they shortened it up when they came to America, but none of them are around to tell me. So, so who knows? But yeah, I mean, he got hurt, I think it was last year, and then he kind of struggled, but he's been good in his career. So, and he's athletic. I saw a clip of him on his own. It wasn't even a design play. He saw an opening and he took a run and he ran 25 yards and got a first down. So it's maybe Brian Moorman 2.0 to a point. But yeah, what's the next segment? Sorry to.
Yeah, no worries. No, it's a great point because I want to stay on that special teams unit because we don't talk about them much. We don't talk about special teams hardly ever. So when we can, we should talk about them. So let's move on to segment 4 that we're going to do, which is I want to get into the injury reports for both teams. Actually, the New England Patriots do not have any players that they've ruled out, but the Buffalo Bills have ruled out 2 defensive players in Dorian Williams and Dorian Strong. So the Dorian brothers, as I call them, are out for this game. Fortunately for the Buffalo Bills, we do have some good news. After a few weeks of not having Ed Oliver or Matt Milano in the lineup, it's seeming like it's trending in the right direction that Matt Milano, Ed Oliver, Spencer Brown are all going to be back in the lineup for the Buffalo Bills going up against the New England Patriots. That's huge for the team. You have the Bills defense with some nightmares on the edge and Joey Bosa. Greg Rousseau still needs to step up a little bit, but when he is out there, you have to fear him a little bit. Then you have Matt Milano coming into the mix, and with him coming in and being the second unit, that's just going to make it a little bit more scarier for Drake May. And then on the other side of the ball, there are some players that are questionable for this game in Clavon Chaiston and Milton Williams, both questionable for the game. Then you have Kyle Duggar, who is one of the best players on the Patriots defense that could miss this game too. He's been banged up a little bit as well. But that's the injury updates for me. And then, Sean, let's get into some of the stats for this game. And I want to get into the Bills side of things. And let's talk about the Bills offense here. Number 1 in the league in points per game with 31 points a night that they're playing. Josh Allen is, a top-tier quarterback in the NFL. Keon Coleman is top 5 amongst receiving yards for players at his position. I don't know if you even knew that yet, Sean, which is a little bit surprising. Then the Bills defense is top 5 in sacks with Joey Bosa and Greg Rousseau in the top 15 for the Bills. And then you have the Patriots offense bottom 10 in pass efficiency ratings for the team. Drake May has been pressured over 40% of the time of his dropbacks this year. And that could be something that could decide this matchup. And then the red zone. Both teams are very good in terms of scoring for the Buffalo Bills. The Patriots are one of the top 5 teams in the NFL in terms of stopping on red zone situations. The line in this game currently is the Buffalo Bills are +6 to win the game. The Patriots, could cover this game. It could be a very close matchup, but that's the gap right now of what the situation is. And then I want to get into the whiteout energy. We all know that this game is a whiteout situation. They want it to be more of like a blizzard in October type situation where they want you to wear white throughout the whole entire game. So this is going to be a great matchup for the Buffalo Bills in terms of an atmosphere for the team. So let's talk about, Sean, real quick, the stats that I brought up and everything. But let's talk about the blizzard atmosphere going up against the fans in Highmark Stadium. That's going to be tough for the Patriots to do.
Yeah, it's definitely cool to do, whiteout kind of thing. It's like college type atmosphere. We're debuting the new jerseys. It's awesome. Just being at home. I mean, we won 13 games in a row at home. I know eventually you're going to lose a game at home, but this is a streak that dates back to last year. So, the Bills Mafia and the other fans there, they just bring the energy, and it's something that the players love to do. They love to play for this city. They love to play for this team and for the fans. And there's just something about being at home. And Patriots coming in, I mean, they've came before to Buffalo with the same most of the roster, so they know what it's like. And sometimes people like that, coming on the road and playing in a tough environment. So they're going to be wanting to bring the energy. They're talking about, oh, if we beat them, we're just a half a game behind them in the first place of the East. So this kind of reminds me of Bills in 2019 when Brady was still on the Patriots, and we were both 3-0, and we were playing the Patriots, and we were close to winning that game, and then someone hit Josh late in the head. It was a dirty hit. He got knocked out of the rest of the game. Then Matt Barkley came in and threw 2 picks, and we lost 16-10. Should have won that game, and then we probably should have won a division that year, not even 2020. But it felt the same way, where it's like Patriots are up and coming. They still have a lot to prove. They still have a lot of things to clean up. I'm not willing to crown them as they're going to be a great team yet. I know it's going to be tough. I know they're becoming a good team, but I think it's way too early. Just even before we won a division in 2020, even when Brady left and we beat the Patriots in the regular season twice, they still wouldn't. Not that it mattered, but they didn't. Like, the fan base and other people wouldn't even allow us to be like, oh, it's our division now, until the end of the year when we took the division title officially. So even if they come out and play good or they even win, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, the Patriots are here to take the division. The Patriots, are the next 10 years are going to be battling with us. They're definitely going in the right direction. They got great coaching staff. They got a great defense. They got a great young quarterback, but we also have a lot of great things. We also have a MVP quarterback. We have a top 2 quarterback in the league. We have good coaching. I wouldn't say it's the best in the world, but we got great players all over the place, and we beat some bad teams this year, but I don't care if people think, oh, you should have beat them by 30, you should have beat them by 20. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. It matters when we needed the play to happen to win a game, we did. And I just know the Patriots are going to bring the energy. I know the fans are going to bring the energy. Yeah. But what I like about our team the most is the way they look at matchups like this, they come out and they talk humble. They know all division games are tough. But then when you hear the Patriots and the variable talk, it seems that they're getting a little bit full of themselves and thinking that, oh yeah, we're just going to go in there. It's everyone's going to be watching. This is what we live for. Knock off a team like that, and then it's a lot of momentum for your team. So they're talking like they're That not necessarily thinking that they're going to win, but that's in their mind that all it takes is a beat in Buffalo, and then everyone's going to talk about the Patriots. So
and
you
that's,
can't come out.
listen,
You
that's
can't come
not a
out with
bad
that.
thing. That's not a bad thing to have for coaching
No.
staff, you know. And I'm grateful for the New England Patriots and the turnaround that they've had. It's great for the AFC East, just because, you know, when you're beating up on teams left and right, like you're the Buffalo Bills, sometimes you need an ass kicking. Sometimes you need, you know, a little bit of a foot in the ass metaphor is what I'm going to say. Is you need that, you know, it's like having a brother, you know, a younger brother that, and you're the older sibling. You need somebody that's going to push you all the time and make you better and everything, you know. It's a great situation to have. And, you know, when you're up on top, you're just a couple of games away from another team coming in and taking your crown. And the Bills need that right now. They need to be able to show, hey, listen, yes, we are the best team in the AFC East, but we still need to beat the Patriots. We still need to beat the Jets, and we still need to beat the Dolphins to even make it to the playoffs. So I like seeing what the Mike Vrabel team is doing, and I'm glad for the franchise to be able to turn it around and get back on track, because when the Patriots are winning, it makes the AFC East even better. You know, it's a good thing.
Yeah, but to a point, it's like they haven't done anything. This coaching staff hasn't done anything with this team. So I would be more of, yeah, we're going to play, you know, a top tier team. You know, we got to have a great week. We got to do everything right if we want to beat them, not say, you know, again, it's just talking, but you would think the players of all people would be like, yeah, maybe we should just do player speak and say how, yeah, Buffalo's a great team. We need to give our best effort if we want to have a chance to beat this team. And then in the locker room, if you want to go say, all it takes is beating the Bills once, and then we're going to be this, and, you know, we're coming for this.
Yeah.
But it's all like, you never hear our team talk like that. And then when you, like last year when the Dolphins put 70 on the Broncos, and then they were talking, wearing emoji shirts and acting like we're a pushover, and because they put 70 points up, and then we blew them out by 30 almost, and, you know, we took offense to it in a way, and, you know, they just put up 40 on the Panthers, so they're probably thinking like, oh yeah, we're gonna come out there and put up 30 plus against them because they can't stop the run and they can't do this.
Yeah,
I think we're gonna, and Trey put it in the Discord, but this is like one of those games where Buffalo reminds people that, yeah, they're a great football team, and just because they didn't beat the Saints by 40 doesn't mean that they're not a great team. That's the other thing too, is we're if not the best, one of the best teams in the league. You're always going to be everybody's Super Bowl, no matter what team it is. And to give the Saints credit, they could have been 2-1 coming into that game.
Yeah,
they had the ball last against San Francisco, I'm pretty sure, and it was a less than a one-score game, or one-score game, but not 7 points against the Cardinals. They got blown out by Seattle, but their special teams gave up like 2 touchdowns. So that was part of it. So there wasn't like they're the Titans, who are absolutely horrible and haven't came close to winning a game yet. But you're gonna get everybody's best. Except, I mean, the Jets, we blew them out, but the Dolphins, their season was on life support. Yeah, we won by 10, but they came ready to play.
And they did.
They could have even beat the Patriots the week before. So yeah, they were 0-2, but they could easily been 1-1. Just like, you know, anyone could lose a game. But I just think we're beyond that point now where games like this, you sleep on a team and then you go and blow it. Like, yeah, they still might win, you know, because anybody can win any given day.
Yeah.
But I'm not more worried about them than I'm worried about any other team. Every week I'm like, anybody could win, but I believe in our team. Sure, could we lose a close game? Yeah, maybe. We lost to them 14-10 once when we were a better team. But I look at what we got. I look at where we're at. We're at that point in the last couple of years where you beat the teams we're supposed to beat. You beat some good teams too. We don't let teams that should, you know, come in there and give a loss to beat us in the end. But you know, they got a lot of good things going for them. I think it could be a good game, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm going to bring up some stats, John, because I want to give you some more comfort for what you're saying. Okay, so since 2022, the Buffalo Bills are undefeated when wearing all white uniforms. So the whiteout situation works best for the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen under the lights over the last 10 games, 8-2 in primetime starts. He has 25 touchdowns and 5 interceptions in that span. And for Drake May, this is his first Sunday Night Football road start. And it's not just any start for his road career, but it's also going to be in Orchard Park, the loudest, wildest, and rowdiest fan base in the NFL that he has to come into. And they're not going to make it easy for him whatsoever in those situations. So, Sean, let's get into the key matchups for this game. And I want to break down the battles that will decide this game. And let's start off with number one, Stephon Diggs going up against either Tre'Davious White or Christian Benford. That's the headliner, and his old teammates and now new enemies for the New England Patriots. Let's break down that a little bit and what the Buffalo Bills need to do to stop Stephon Diggs from having a big day.
Yeah, well, Diggs is definitely going to make some plays. You know, it's hard to keep him to nothing, but it's a lot easier for a receiver than it is a corner because the receiver knows what the receiver is going to do. The corner doesn't know what the receiver is going to do. And, you know, they played together for years. So I think Diggs is going to make some plays. Obviously, we're just going to probably try to keep things in front of them, in front of us, not give up big plays, tackle in space. But, you know, you're not gonna keep him to nothing. It's hard to keep teams to nothing. So he's going to make some plays. It's just important to always be in the play if you're a defensive back. Don't allow a lot of yards after catch, and that's just that's just all it's going to be is a constant battle. Hopefully, we get some pass deflections, maybe even an interception. But it's going to be important to take away one of their safety blankets. They got, Hunter Henry. They got two great tight ends, Hooper and Hunter Henry. And what McDaniels does a lot, which is great, is he doesn't put his quarterbacks in a situation where he's going to fail a lot. So, you know, he's going to take things underneath if he has to. I mean, he only threw the ball 17 times last game, but you know, he's the only one in front of Allen with QBR. He's got a little bit better QBR. He's got 75% completion. So, I mean, he's going to get the ball out to completable passes. He's not just going to throw things in a double cover. He might once in a while because he's young, but he's going to do everything in the system that he's supposed to be successful. So it'll be on our defense to not miss tackles and to be around the ball and getting tackle all the time.
Yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying there, Sean. I want to get into Trey Williams' comment here, saying one thing about the Patriots running backs situation is that people keep mentioning Patriots running backs have poor yards per carry, but they're about number one in screen usage. Are the Bills any good at defending screens this year? That's the situation.
It's the same.
I'm going to let you answer it, Sean.
Yeah, I mean, screens are hard to defend anyway, but it seems like that's something we never figured out under McDermott yet. And yeah, that's another thing. Patriots, they haven't been able to run the ball too well as far as, you know, yards in a game they've gotten rushing touchdowns and you know, things from their running backs, but I want to say they're bottom of the pack. I mean, bottom half of the league and running the football. Travion Henderson, good rookie. But even when I watched the game when Ramondre fumbled twice and Gibson fumbled once, I still didn't even want to give him more touches. And I got him in fantasy, so I was like, why aren't they putting him in? The starter and the other guy had 3 total fumbles. Put the rookie in, and he's not going to drop the ball. But Ramondre's always had a fumble issue, so really got to be peanut punching at him. And Gibson's not that was one thing in Washington. He always fumbles at the wrong time, but he's a great back. So they're going to put the ball in harm's way. Drake May might put the ball in harm's way. So it's just be ready for it and try to force that on them. Don't let them just do whatever they want. You got to get pressure. You might have to send blitzes, some zone blitz where you drop. I don't like it all the time, but drop a guy like Rousseau into coverage and bring a blitz from the back end where May can't see, and it just disrupts things. And it's I think he still hasn't had a first full career year. He hasn't played 17 games yet. So he's
Right.
still technically a rookie. And McDermott usually does a good job confusing rookies or young quarterbacks. I know he played pretty good in the game we played with our starters last year. Obviously, we still won, but they're not going to put him in a situation to fail. So we have to make him fail. We can't just sit back and wait for them to make mistakes because they're going to do the best they can to not.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Sean. I mean, you explained everything correct. The Patriots and Josh McDaniels is not going to put the ball in harm's way. That's what they're known for, is playing complementary football, letting their defense win them the game pretty much, and not give up a lot of points in those situations, and try and get the ball back to, at the time, Tom Brady, now Drake May in the mix at the quarterback position. And then they do a good job of just playing the Patriots way. And that's just the way that they're going to do it. They're going to throw the ball to as many different players on offense, move the ball around. They're going to run the football and play smash mouth football and try and keep the ball away from Josh Allen. And that's the thing that at times worries me about this game, is that, number one, they have a really good running game, which is one of our weaknesses on defense. They can move the ball in play action situations with different wide receivers and tight ends in the mix. And then they have a good defense. They have Christian Gonzalez. They have Kyle Duggar out there on defense. That's what worries me a little bit in those situations. But let's get into the second topic, which is going to be the defense of the New England Patriots. And I want to bring up Josh Allen going up against this Patriots defense. And I also want to bring up this offensive line unit, because you talk a lot about the trenches, Sean. You're really good at it. If you haven't and you're new to the channel, go over to the Trench Talk. Check out what Sean does, because he talks about both sides of the ball, not only the offensive line, but the defensive line of the Buffalo Bills. Breaks it down very well with in-depth knowledge of the position. And this battle is going to be tested because you have a really good defensive line with Milton Williams out there. You have Chase Dinlis out there as well. And then you have some other players that are decent players in the mix as well in the defensive line unit. And you have a Bills offensive line that's pretty good, but there's times where they struggle and give up pressures in bad situations. So a clean pocket for Josh Allen is how they're going to beat the New England Patriots. Break down how Josh Allen and the offensive line can stop the blitzes from Mike Vrabel in this defense.
Well, you say sometimes they give up pressures. Well, everybody gives up pressures. So
yeah.
I don't take that as like they're not great, because they're top 3 offensive line. They're number 1 in run blocking efficiency, or they're 3rd in pass blocking efficiency. Allen's pressure rate is the lowest in the league. It's they do a great job cohesively together. Even with the backup in last week, I know he had a couple of rough plays, but that does change things. So yeah, they gave up 3 sacks last week, but 1.5 of them were on Ryan Vandermark. I know the 3rd sack didn't count towards anybody on the offensive line, but part of it was Vandermark and his block. So if we're fully healthy, they got a great front. They got Godshaw, Milton Williams, Harold Landry, who's got almost 5 sacks. So and Chase On's all right. He's probably their weak link. But they're going to be trying to bring pressure. They haven't, I think they got Miami's 5 sacks, and we didn't get any against Miami. But yeah, I mean, it's just going back to basics, being able to communicate well on the offensive line. They always do well pointing out who the mic is, who the blitzer is. That, like Deion says, they have their own language that they talk, that they need to communicate. And I think when Brown and Torrance are together, they know each other well. Like, obviously Vandermark doesn't know Torrance well, and Torrance doesn't know Vandermark well, because they don't play every game together. But things like when they're going to run some stunts, I'm sure, where Landry and Williams are going to twist and do everything they have to do to try to get to the quarterback. But they'll be able to communicate well, because Torrance, he does struggle with things when stunts happen, where the defensive end comes and bull rushes in across his body, He's not quick enough sometimes, but I think it'll be a little bit different this week if Brown's out there. Run blocking, we're just excellent. It doesn't matter who's out there, especially when you add Jackson Hawes there to help on the outside guys and moving up to the second level. It's just, if you want to teach young offensive linemen how to run block, just have your kids watch the Buffalo Bills offensive line, and it's just there's clinics every week, and yeah, pass blocking. Brown, I've noticed it every week. Brown seems a little bit different. He seems like he's been obviously battling through injury, which he has.
Yeah.
He's had up a couple pressures and uncharacteristic like of him. But yeah, I mean, last week it was a couple of plays that were bad, but it's going to happen sometimes. But I think this week, we know we're playing a tough opponent. We're going to be able to bounce back off of the 3-sack game that was let up. I know one of them was Josh holding the ball too long, but we'll be able to bounce back this week. We should have a right tackle back. The communication will be better, and we know we're going against a tough opponent. This is a great front, but we've gone against good fronts all year. The Ravens front, they were fully healthy. They had Matabike, they had Odafe, they had Kyle Van Noy, and then now they're hurt, but they were fully healthy. The Jets, Harrison Phillips, Will McDonald, Quinton Williams, and I forgot the other rusher they got. He's great. Miami was supposed to have one of the best fronts in the league. They didn't really do nothing. Saints have Granderson's, leading top. I think he's got 4.5 sacks now as well.
Yep.
So as the weeks go on, we get better and better and better. And they did that last year too. But yeah, it's important to know who you're going against. I think we know Vrabel's tendencies pretty well. Chrome is going to have him ready for blitz packages. And again, they communicate well and really don't get blitzed too often. So I think what we know it's coming on like a third down, and they'll be ready for it. But it's definitely going to be a challenge.
Absolutely. And I want to turn it over to the other side of the ball, because now you have a top 5 pick that the Bills are going to be going up against in Will Campbell versus the Bills front four and Joey Bosa and Greg Rousseau. Let's talk about this matchup between them, because obviously I want to stick with the trenches here. Left tackle Will Campbell is about to get some baptism from Joey Bosa under the lights, as I like to call it, because you're going up against a player that doesn't have a lot of experience in the NFL versus a guy that knows exactly what he's doing. And talk to me a little bit, Sean, about that matchup, how you like that for the Bills, and what you think that they can do to get some pressure on Drake May. And before you answer that, I do want to get to Trey Williams' comment real quick, because he says that a key to the game is don't let Drake May scramble for big gains. Currently, the Bills are about worst in the league at scrambling quarterbacks. And, that's another aspect that you have is the quarterback's legs in this game, too. So how can the Bills, number one, get pressure on the quarterback? Number two, how can they bring down Drake May and put him into situations that makes him uncomfortable?
Yeah, and I was going to Trey reads my mind sometimes. I was eventually going to mention how, especially if Milano's back, I mean, you should be able to spike a quarterback with anybody, but it seems like he's the guy we always put out there. But yes, going back to Bosa and Campbell, I really like Campbell. I said pre-draft that he's going to be the best tackle in that draft, but he's been playing well, but he's still a rookie. Joey Bosa's not a rookie. Joey Bosa's a vet. We're going to be at home. Campbell's got a few penalties under his belt already. It's going to be loud. I'd like to see this D-line force a couple false starts against the Patriots. And, they're an improved offensive line from where they were one of the worst last year, and now they're like middle of the pack this year, maybe around 15, 14. So they're, again, much improved. But, I think you got 2 rookies, left tackle, left guard. Morgan Moses, we know from the Jets and the Ravens, he's old. So hopefully Rousseau and Bosa can do something on him. But again, Bosa on Campbell, even Rousseau on Campbell, you got to be able to make him have rookie moments, because as good as he is, those are still in there, for any rookie. And then just the D-line in general, you got to do way more. I know you need all 3 phases to stop the run, and they've been pretty good in their part in stopping the run. But if the linebackers and the safeties and the corners are failing you, you might even have to do even more because it's just not working. And it's unfair for the D-line having to do more because they're doing their job pretty well. Because you got to remember, they're getting blocked and trying to enforce so the linebackers can make plays at the same time, while the linebackers are just reading and reacting, and they do a bad job at it. So, it's this is offensive line. Again, I said this, they're better than Miami's, and we didn't really do much against Miami, but also Tua got the ball out quick. But I think the reason why Detroit got 7 sacks on Lamar, I think we only got 1. Besides the fact that they're athletic on the edge, which we're not, besides AJ, they spied on Lamar, and this was to the point. If you spy on Drake May and he doesn't have that easy, I can just take off up the middle. If you know somebody's there, it might take the extra second to think or what should I go now? And then it gives Bosa and Rousseau or Epinesa enough time to make a play. But if all of a sudden we're getting good pass rush, but then the middle opens up, he's just going to take off. And I was talking to Mike earlier on the phone, and I don't think we spied for Lamar. I don't think we spied for even Tua. We didn't spy for Spencer Rattler. We didn't spy for Justin Fields, I don't think. So if we didn't do it then, maybe we're just, okay, let's get through September doing the basic stuff. Let's see what happens. And then once October hits, then you should start doing stuff like that. I know it's stupid, but maybe they were just trying to get their feet into things and get people acclimated. But if you're not putting a spy on him this game, I don't know. I know you're taking a guy out of coverage, but just run nickel most of the time, which we'll probably do anyway.
Right.
And then have a spy, and then I think that'll help the pass rush a little bit too.
Yeah, I agree with you there. But I think that one of the biggest things for the Buffalo Bills over the last few weeks that we've noticed some of the issues is with the pass rush, is adding in Ed Oliver back into the mix. And we've had times where the defensive line, especially the interior defensive line, have done some really good things. I really liked what I saw number 1 out of Daquan Jones. I thought that switching positions and everything, credit to him, he did a wonderful job. Even Deion Walker did some great things for the Buffalo Bills. But when your best playmaker in the interior defensive line, our version of Aaron Donald, even though he's not as gifted with the talent and everything that Aaron Donald was, he's our version of Aaron Donald out there on the field. And when you're losing him, it hurts the defensive line as a whole because he makes players around him better. So that's one thing that I want to add into the mix. But Sean, let's get into moving on from the tackle position and the offensive line and the trenches. Let's get into our X factors for the Buffalo Bills. I have 2 X factors, and there's still keys to the game for the Buffalo Bills. I think that one of the biggest keys is going to be Dalton Kincaid attacking the linebackers for the Patriots. And this is a mismatch for me. I think that Dalton Kincaid is way too quick and way too skilled for this unit. He's currently averaging over 50 yards per game, getting better and better each and every week out there on the field. And watch him to work the seams for the Buffalo Bills going up against this Patriots linebacking group. Give me a little bit of a quick Dalton Kincaid versus the linebackers matchup. How do you think that favors the Bills?
Oh yeah, I mean it's definitely a mismatch. Robert Spillane's a good run stopper, but bad in coverage. They got I think his name's Jelani Tavais coming back. I think he's a pretty good linebacker, but still, we're too athletic at that position, and I think it'll be smart to hit that middle of the field. Obviously, Gonzo's coming off of an injury. He played 1 game this year so far. He was decent, maybe not his 100% self yet. I'm sure we'll test them if we have to, but if you don't have to, and there's easier matchups to be successful at, I would definitely prefer those options as well. But yeah, I'd love a Dalton Kincaid's been open. Even Josh mentioned it the other day. The run. It was a 3rd down run where he got like 27 yards. I forgot who I think it was a Mark Sanchez interview that he did with him, and he was like, "Yeah, it was an awesome play, but Kincaid was wide open, and I could have hit him for an even bigger gain." And I've noticed that a lot, like in that Saints game when I was doing the tape. There was so many things. Like he only missed a couple passes. He had a few bad decisions, but they were so obvious that it was like, what the heck is he doing? That
Yeah.
one play where he threw it like 75 yards down to Samuel and he got hit early and they were looking for a flag. The whole time, Ty Johnson's streaking downfield with Josh wide open, looking at Josh going like this while he's running, and then Josh just overlooks him and just tries to chuck it downfield. If you made that pass, that's at least 10, 15, 20 yards. You're keeping the drive alive. But what actually happened was that was on third down, so he threw it deep. We had a punt. They got it at the 50, and they led to 3 points. So stuff like that, he wasn't doing all year so far and last year. He did it last game, and I don't know why. So if people are open, hit them. You want to throw the deep ball sometimes, but if the guy's right in front of your face, and then you say, "Oh, I know, I could have hit Kincaid there." I don't want those to be, "Oh, I could have did this." Just do it. Like, I know that the run was awesome, but if you knew, "Oh yeah, I could have did that," or I noticed it on the film. I'm not even a quarterback. I never played quarterback. You could just see it right in front of him. There's no way he didn't see him because he was literally, they were running together like on a diagonal. And that was the point. If nothing's open, you throw to Ty Johnson. That was the play design.
Right.
So I'm sure Brady was like, dude, you had him wide open right here. And I'm sure the first thing that they noticed on the film study was, yep, you should have hit Ty there. And then it could have been a whole, we could have even blew them out. Because who knows what that drive could have been. And then they end up getting 3 points off of that. So yeah. Hit those matchups when you see them.
Absolutely. Completely agree with you there. Last one that I have for you, Sean, is Keon Coleman going up against Christian Gonzalez. This is going to be an interesting battle between the two second-year players. Both of them are going to have battles in the future that are going to be top-notch for many years to come in the AFC East. Keon Coleman, he needs to step up in this game. He has to be that 50-50 wide receiver that the Buffalo Bills drafted him for in the second round. And going up against one of the elite cornerbacks in the NFL in Christian Gonzalez, who's done some really good things over the last 20 games that he's played in the NFL. This matchup is going to be tough for Keon Coleman, but he has to step up big in these situations, become a perimeter wide receiver for the Bills. How do you like this matchup?
I mean, obviously Gonzalez is probably going to win often in that if he's just straight up, drop back and pass. But hit Keon on these slant routes. He's big, he's quick, and quick slant. It doesn't have to be a deep slant. Just hike, boom, those kind of slants. Hit him with those, and maybe he could break free. A lot of sideline stuff, deep outs. You don't have to just throw go balls all the time and 50-50 balls at him. Yeah, Gonzalez he's good, but he's coming off a hamstring injury, so if he tries to jump, he might not be able to jump routes like he usually can. So if you hit him with deep outs, posts, even deep slants, quick slants, that's something that could be good for him. But it might not be a Keon day. It might be, like you said, a tight end day. It might be a running back out of the backfield day. Maybe even a Palmer day. But the offense, it's been great, and it just seems like it's still not even reached its full potential yet. So this is an offense I think could just, without a doubt, score 40 points a game and not even be alarming, or not even be like, oh wow, how did they do that? I'm not saying they're going to do that, but this is a type of offense that just gets better every week, and I think it's just going to be hard to stop, even when we're not clicking on all cylinders. So probably weeks go by, it's just going to be like, damn, this is maybe the best offense the Bills ever had.
Yeah, I agree with you there, because there's so many different dynamics of the rooms. The wide receiver room. You have playmakers in Keon Coleman, Joshua Palmer. You have Elijah Moore, and then your sixth wide receiver is Curtis Samuel on the team. I mean, that's good numbers there. Then your tight end room. I mean, how great have we seen the tight end room be for a number 3 tight end to be one of the best blockers on your team? And don't get me wrong, we do have Dawson Knox on the team, even though he's not putting up the greatest numbers and everything. He's a reliable target for the Buffalo Bills offense too. So really like what I've seen from the units right now. But Sean, let's get into the keys to the game, keys to victory for the Buffalo Bills, how they can stay undefeated in week 5. I have 4 keys to the game for me. Sean, let's go back and forth, starting with your first key to the game. Go with your first key to the game.
I'll just put 2-1, continue to run the ball well, and stop the run.
Like that. Okay.
I'll just combine them together because I'm sure we're both thinking that anyway.
I'm going to steal one from you, Sean. Okay. Winning the trenches is kind of what you're getting at. I get what you're saying there with running the ball very well, but I'm going to steal one a little bit. I want to see Ed Oliver, Dequan Jones have a big day on the inside for the Bills. Then I want to see Joey Bosa and Greg Russo on the outside collapsing the pocket. Win the trenches in every single aspect. Make Drake May be into situations where he's in 3rd and long type situations, and then he can collapse the pocket. You can see this front four for the Buffalo Bills have a good day, and we can get the ball back to our playmaker in Josh Allen. Sean, give me your second one.
Got to force turnovers or just give Drake May hell and make him have bad passes, bad decisions if you can't get the turnover. But again, he's fumbled. He's thrown a couple of interceptions. He's a willing player and wants to win, so he's going to do whatever he can. So if you can put him in positions to make bad plays and bad decisions, that'll definitely help. And then we just got to keep being clean with the football and not turning the ball over.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there, Sean. For me, you're kind of getting into it. Play clean, complementary football. Don't hand the Patriots any short fields. Don't force Drake May into long situations from 80 yards or more for him to go and make him have to be inconsistent in this game. I'm going to go with my number 3 pick, which is going to be Josh Allen's legs. I think that Josh Allen's legs in this game are going to play a huge point in this game. I think that in 3rd down situations, he's going to have to scramble. He's going to have to break defenses apart when the coverage is good, when you have Christian Gonzalez on one side of the ball. Play smart, but utilize Josh Allen's legs. You haven't utilized them early on in the season enough. I think this is the day where you see Josh Allen go off for more than 50 yards from him rushing.
Yeah, that's a good one. He's been conservative with rushing. He probably could have done more than he has. There's been a couple, I think one of the sacks that he took, I can't remember when it was, but there was a wide open gap between Brown and Torrance, and then instead of taking off, he just stood back there longer waiting for a guy to get open, and then it led to a sack.
Do you think that's because of the coaching staff, like Joe Brady telling him, maybe even
probably
hey, listen, we need you long term. Okay, we need you for 17 games. We need you for 21 games.
Yeah, it's probably a mix of that and himself, but you don't get hurt. People don't get hurt running the football; they get hurt in the pocket. So, I mean, the line was holding up on that play. I remember specifically, and I even mentioned it in the show. I forgot what week it was, but so Brown. The way I like to describe it is like Brown wasn't getting beat, but he was walking the defensive end away. So like the guy was coming around the outside on a wide 9, and instead of just waiting for him to come, he just pushed him out around in a big loop. And then Torrance was blocking his guy, and then Allen stepped up, and then instead of just taking off, he just waited a little bit longer. But like the guy was still coming around. So in that situation, when Brown's taking the guy for a walk, he's winning the rep, just go. And then he just didn't do it. And then you don't have to go and run someone over. You can run for a positive couple yards and then just get down. But he just took the sack, and that's stuff that, again, it makes the O-line look bad. But there's plays like that it's because he's doing it, and it's not their fault. And, a pass block win is 2.5 seconds, and anything more than that is bonus money. So, like there was even the Vandermark sack last week that was actually credited to him. It was almost 4 seconds. So he won the rep, but the sack still got credited to him because it was his guy and he let go after. But it's like things like that happen where he did win his rep. He did what more than he had to do, and then Allen just stood there and didn't do anything, and nobody's open. So that's part of the problem too. Receivers aren't getting open. And then Josh wasn't wanting to take off when he had open lanes. So
I think part of it, actually, Sean, is the conservative effort from Josh Allen to not make mistakes in those situations. Listen, I used to love it, and it sucks, okay? When Josh Allen played not necessarily hero ball, but when he forced it into tight situations, I used to love it because listen, when you have a quarterback that has balls out there on the field, he has to throw it into those tight situations. I'm not saying be a turnover machine whatsoever. I'm not saying that, but you have to at times take the 1 yard that's there for your wide receiver to be open. The opportunity to be open in the NFL is so tough, and you have to take tight situations. And if I'm Josh Allen, I have to fight for those yardage. Fight for that 1 yard. And at times it's going to make cornerbacks, it's going to make safeties, it's going to make linebackers in those situations have to worry about every aspect of the field. Okay, Josh, sees a guy that's 1 yard that's open, or even a tenth of a yard, and he throws it to him. Okay, I have to worry about that spot right there on the field. I have to worry about this spot over here where it's this guy's 3 yards off the wide or the cornerback. I have to worry about there, and I also have to worry about Josh Allen's legs too in those situations as well. It makes it harder for him. But I don't like this conservative effort of, okay, I can't make a mistake here at times, and I have to, play conservative in those efforts.
Yeah. Well, if no one's open, just take off. You don't have to throw the ball in a double coverage. He could just take off and then get a couple yards and get down. Just
let Josh be Josh. That's what I want to see. Is really what it is.
Yeah, but they did that last year in the beginning too, and then they eventually let him up a little bit. But I just feel like if you have to think like, oh, I shouldn't unleash myself. It just makes things a little bit more complicated. Obviously, we're still dominating on offense, but
right.
If you could just be free and not have to worry about like, oh, maybe I should be chill for now, wait till week 7, whatever. I guess my last thing I was going to say, John brought it up too, penalties. We had like 11 accepted penalties last week. As much as I hate penalties so much, and it's awful, I don't expect them to have another bad penalty day this week. I know hockey leads the ref, but we're going to be way more disciplined this week. We usually bounce back, and that should help us a lot too.
Well, I think that, because there's a Sean that's going to be out there on the field as a head referee, I think that Sean probably is going to be a little bit upset, and he's going to be throwing the TV remote and stuff like that in those situations when he sees a lot of penalties out there from the Buffalo Bills. Obviously all kidding aside and everything when I bring that up.
Who knows?
Absolutely agree with that there. But Sean, about maybe 3 more segments left that we have to do. Let's get into, I'm going to do a little trivia for you and a history lesson for the folks out here in the chat. Let's remember this for the Buffalo Bills going up against the New England Patriots. The Bills have won the last 5 out of 6 matchups against the New England Patriots. The Brady days of dominance are currently behind us. Those 20 years are over. This is Buffalo's division that they're running right now. And the only reason this game feels so personal is because of the beef between Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen. And Diggs is wearing the wrong jersey, in my opinion. And there's nothing better than sending him back to Foxborough with an L. That's what I want to get into real quick. So let's get into final predictions for you, Sean. Who do you think wins this game? I'm going to start with mine real quick. I have the Buffalo Bills winning this game 35-20. I do not see it being very close. I think that it's going to be close in the end. The Bills will pull away with Josh Allen having 3 touchdowns, 1 in passing, 1 rushing touchdown. Keon Coleman going over 100 yards in this game. The leading receiver in the game, though, will be Khalil Shakir. I think that he has a huge game in this situation, proves that he is the new Stephon Diggs for the Buffalo Bills and that we don't need him. But he has 2 touchdowns on the day for me. Shakir does. And for Stephon Diggs, I have him getting 6 catches, 85 yards, 1 touchdown in this game, but it won't matter whatsoever. Yes, he gets the touchdown, punts the ball into the crowd, but it's going to be a whiteout in Buffalo, and the Bills are too strong. They're too deep. They're too motivated. They have Super Bowl aspirations. That's why they're going to move on to 5-0. The Patriots will drop to 2-3 on the year, and the Bills get a much-needed win, and they sweep in the first round against the AFC East.
Yeah, I mean, I would sign up for all of that for sure. Obviously, I think we'll win. It's possible we lose. Obviously, it's possible every week. But this team's like you said, this team's ready. They know what they're up against. They know they're playing a division rival that's hungry and that wants to knock you off. So I think we'll match the energy and then some. We're going to out physical them. That's what we do. We're a physical trench, offensive line at least. We'll out physical them there. And if Ed's back, the defensive line is going to be back to their physical nature. He's going to bring a lot of energy. If he's not, still, we got some players there that can do things and make plays. I would love a blowout, but I don't know. I mean, it's hard to tell with this team.
Listen, you have the uniform for that. Okay, you have the uniform for a blowout right now.
That's I mean, 34-20 right there. 34-24, but I like even more. But I can see it being like a close one score to double-digit win. But again, at the end of the day, even if we beat the Jets, Dolphins, and Saints 40-0, people would still say, "Oh, they're bad teams, so what do you want?" But when we only beat them by 12, it's, "Oh, you only beat them by 12." So it doesn't matter how we win. Just look good doing it. There's always going to be things to work on. There's always going to be things bad to talk about. But at the end of the day, just prevail and keep notching those wins in the win column. And the more wins you get, the quicker you are locked into a playoff spot.
You're exactly right. And the quicker you get those wins, the quicker you lock the division up. Sean, we have a couple comments that came in the chat. John Robert with a couple of them. Do you think that Brandon Codrington is going to be inactive for this game?
Probably.
I don't think he will because you have one cornerback that's inactive already in Dorian Strong. You also have Dorian Williams inactive there. I think that he will be active and he will be the kick returner for the Buffalo Bills. Other question that came in is, who do you think is going to be the leading receiver for the Buffalo Bills on Sunday? Who do you think it's going to be? And then give me the leading receiver for the Buffalo Bills at the end of the season.
I don't know. I'm maybe Shakir this week, and it's hard to say. It's between Coleman and Shakir right now, but maybe Shakir at the end too.
Okay. So we always do the segment. This is the last one that we'll do before we hit the outro. Sean, we always do our inactive picks for the Buffalo Bills each and every week. Obviously, you know that it's going to be Williams and Strong inactive. So you need 3 more inactives for the Buffalo Bills. Give me a couple of ideas of who you think is going to be inactive in this game.
We got to start taking track because I think I was pretty close last week. But
you were closer than me.
Oh, you were paying attention?
I was paying attention.
Okay, so Williams and Strong for sure. Landon Jackson. I'll say Codrington just because I think he's probably going to be the cut when Ogunjobi and Hoyt come back. So they're trying to see if Samuel can do other things, and or they're going to maybe trade Samuel. They're trying to get him some reps. So who knows there? So I say him. I'm going to say Oliver's not playing this week. So I'll say Oliver. And then how many is that? 4?
Yeah, 4 so far. You said Jackson, actually.
Yeah, Jackson, Codrington, the 2 guys, and then Oliver. So, yeah, those are my 5. There might be 6. But I think just because, you're down a linebacker, you're down a corner,
right.
Maybe they'll – because we also don't know if Milano's going to play.
Right.
So maybe Milano's inactive too, and then they call up Charlo and Kenta Jenkins or whatever. Yeah, so those are if I'm just going with 5, those are my 5.
So if they call up Jenkins, then he can no longer be active, or he can no longer be called up for the rest of the season. He has to go onto the active roster. So that's probably not going to happen. So Charlo could possibly be the one that gets called up. Also, don't forget that on the practice squad of the Buffalo Bills, which we'll know a little bit more tomorrow as to who gets called up and who doesn't. We do have Dane Jackson in the roster too, so they could call him up to the active roster as well. I'm going to give you my 5 that are going to be inactive. I have Strong, Williams inactive. Chase Lunt is my next one that will be inactive.
Oh yeah, I always forget him. So there's 6 for me. Chase Lunt.
Landon Jackson as well, inactive for the Bills. And then my next one that will be inactive, I think it's going to be tough. But I think it's going to be between either Jamarcus Ingram or Jordan Hancock, and I'm going to give the edge to Jordan Hancock being inactive. Even though he has played on special teams over the last couple of weeks, I think that he will be inactive, and you will see Curtis Samuel as well as Brandon Codrington splitting reps at the kick returner position for the Buffalo Bills, going back and forth each series for the team. So that's going to be the interesting move. John Roberts says that if Milano doesn't play, that Charlo will probably get called up. I can see that as well. But Sean, again, man, listen, it's going to be a blowout, blizzard type situation in Buffalo in early October. That means that it's bad news for you as a New Yorker. I think that it's going to be an early winter for New York. And I don't like those situations, but Bills Mafia, it's personal this week. It's rivalry week. You have Sean wearing his rivalry uniform. Absolutely loves the uniform. Go on NFLshop.com. Go all over the internet, and you can find those uniforms out there. And drop your score predictions in the comments. Also, don't forget that who you're going to cheer for. Are you going to cheer for Stephon Diggs going up against the Buffalo Bills, or are you going to cheer for the Bills? In those situations, make sure that you smash the like button, subscribe to Nickel City Mafia, and join us live every week for pre-game shows with Sean and myself, as well as post-game shows with Mike and Jake on the channel on Sunday nights. We will be live again next week, Friday at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And remember, this is our house, this is our division, and this is Buffalo's time right now. Stay loud, stay proud, and as always, go Bills.
Go Bills.